Welcome to the Volvo Ocean Race 2001.
If you go back to the first race in 1973, I mean, it's a long, long time ago. And today people will look at those boats and say, oh, they weren't racing boats, they were cruising boats, and you guys were in a bit of a doddle. Not so. Times were different then. Ocean racing was different. You know, no radar, no GPS, no internet, no nothing. And so you went to sea and you went to sea, and you found out who won the leg of the race when you got to the next port.
It all began in 1973 as the Whitbread Round the World race, when 17 boats left Portsmouth, England, to sail 27,000 miles around the globe, stopping at various ports before returning to Portsmouth for the finish.
Stand by, I've got 1 minute, Scotty.
No problem, start going up. 10,
9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go, go, go.
7 races on, and what started as an adventure is now the Volvo Ocean Race. Professional crews at the pinnacle of their sport, racing flat out over 9 months. 9 legs, 33,000 miles, and this is the route they took. The first half of the race comprises just 3 legs. Leg 1 taking the fleet from Southampton to Cape Town. Then across the Southern Ocean to Australia, where they joined the notorious Sydney to Hobart race before going on to New Zealand. Leaving Auckland, the boats head deep into the Southern Ocean, rounding Cape Horn to enter the relative safety of the South Atlantic on their way to Rio. America beckons, with stops in Miami and Baltimore, before the dash for home across the Atlantic to La Rochelle, Gothenburg, and the finish in Kiel. But what exactly is it that makes these sailors leave their families and friends to risk everything to race across the world's most treacherous oceans?
The scare and tears are coming, you're so scared you almost freeze up, but at the same time you have a smile on your face.
You'll be probably frightened at times, scared, worried. You'll hate it. You'll absolutely despise the fact that you're involved. And when you get to the finish, you'll know why, because there's nothing like it. It gets in your blood and you can't get rid of it.
And we pay tribute to yachting legend Sir Peter Blake. In 2001, he was tragically murdered when on an expedition to the Amazon. He sailed 5 Whitbread Round the World races, winning on Steinlager II in 1989. As months of preparation finally came to an end, the 8 crews said goodbye to loved ones, their hopes and dreams about to be tested as they left for the start line in Southampton. And they're off. Leg 1 of the 2001 Volvo Ocean Race was underway. Next stop, Cape Town. Ama Sports 2, led by Brit Lisa MacDonald, was in trouble just seconds after the start, with a ripped spinnaker. The all-female crew had only sailed together for 1 week, so the odds were certainly stacked against them. But off to a better start was Sweden's Asa Abloy, with Dutchman Roy Heine at the helm. American John Kostecki, skipper's race favourite, Germany's Ilbruck challenge. While sailing under the Bermudan flag, Team Tycho is skippered by Kiwi Kevin Shoebridge. Media giant News Corps, with first-time skipper Britain's Jez Vanstone, will need all his skill to compete against race veteran Swede Gurra Kramps on SEB. Another Scandinavian entry is De Juice, skippered by Norwegian Knut Frostad. He looks forward to renewed battles with Grant Dalton on Ama Sports 1. Into the Atlantic, and De Juice was the first casualty of the strong winds and upwind battle.
We had to take the mainsail down for quite a few hours and tried to make a sort of very creative car that could hold the thing up.
Makeshift repairs lashing their sail to the mast allowed them to continue, but now dramatically off the pace. And a similar fate befell SEB, forcing an unplanned pit stop in the Canaries to collect replacement parts. But luckily, their unscheduled stop forced them to take the less favoured easterly route, where stronger winds put them back in contention with the fleet. A sense of frustration in the doldrums was replaced by the need for a sense of humour. In age-old tradition, sailors crossing the equator for the first time were obliged to suffer the rituals and indignities of King Neptune and answer for their misdemeanours.
What else has he done? He's a very naughty boy.
2,000 miles to go, and it was by now a real cat-and-mouse race with the top 5 all in contention, whilst the back markers were 5 days behind schedule and contemplating the need for food rationing. Assa Abloy were also in trouble. Navigator Mark Rudiger made a crucial decision to go east, which was to cost them dearly.
There's no doubt about it, everybody's gutted. We'd spent, I think, 2.5 weeks of hard sailing, very hard sailing, and we'd worked our way into what seemed to be a pretty comfortable second place. We thought we'd done all the difficult tactical parts of the race, and we felt, you feel robbed. It is sailing and these things happen, but there's like a deathly silence over the boats for the best part of 12 hours probably, and everybody's pretty upset.
But skipper Roy Heine remained positive, knowing nothing of the drama that was to unfold in Cape Town. The last week saw the exceptional ocean racing skills of Ama Sports 1's Grant Dalton lead into Cape Town, only to be overtaken by the slick crew work of Ilbrook right on the finish line. But the drama didn't finish there. Roy Heine was sacked as skipper of Assa Abloy.
It's not easy making a team out of people that are very good, that have a lot of egos, and I mean, basically you do your best, and that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess. I need to go and sit on top of a mountain because I have to reflect on myself as well, I think. That's see where life goes from here onwards, and take it day by day, I guess.
And so the end of a dream for Heine, and the beginning of an immense challenge for replacement skipper MacDonald, husband of Ama2's skipper Lisa.
To do any role, you need time to kind of mentally prepare yourself, get everything straight in your mind, just how you're going to approach it. And it's been a busy stopover anyway. It's going to be very difficult to get into the role quickly, and you know it's going to take time. So that's one of those things I haven't got. So it's going to be a bit of a rush.
With crew changes made, boats repaired and teams revitalised, the 8 boats left Cape Town for leg 2 to Sydney to face the first Southern Ocean crossing.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go! The whole wind instruments are out, completely out. Gibbon.
The fleet jostled for the lead in the narrow shipping lanes.
Watch the race! Watch the race!
whilst at the same time having to avoid some of the spectator boats there to see them on their way. But it wasn't long before problems struck. Ilbrook were forced to call rival SCB for assistance when their boat started taking water on board and they realised that they were sinking.
Hey, do we want that much water coming back in yet?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We're keeping up, no problem right now.
Down to the door.
The problem was solved and all on board were safe, but this was to set the precedent for leg 2, the disaster leg. Next to suffer was Tycho. A damaged rudder resulted in retirement from the leg.
It's highly unlikely that we'll be doing any more racing in this league, that's for sure. It's more of a situation now of not risking the boat or risking the people. So incredibly disappointing for us all here on board, and reality sort of sunk in a little bit this morning. Just saw the skid and realised we're 150 miles behind everyone else. But we need to live to fight another day, and we're going to get the boat to Sydney one way or the other.
It wasn't just the boat suffering. Conditions began to take their toll on the crews as well. In the depths of the Southern Ocean, hundreds of miles from help, Keith Kilpatrick on Amma 1 had a serious intestinal blockage.
I just said to Roger, I go, look, Roger, there's something wrong here. What do you think it could be? When's this going to stop? Because I'm really in a lot of discomfort here.
It's always been my fear, being a doctor on a few of these boats, that you get something like an intestinal obstruction, because it can be a very life-threatening situation.
Interesting situation here to be on a boat trying to perform duties as a doctor, and of course it's quite difficult. We noticed just to put the intravenous needle in when the boat is bumping around on big waves. It's not easy.
But thanks to the Australian Air Force dropping emergency medical supplies, Amma 1 was bought the time they needed to reach Eclipse Island, from where Keith would be airlifted to hospital and safety. Meanwhile, another crucial tactical blunder from Assa Abloy. Off the southern coast of Australia, as they took the northern route round King Island, they dropped from 3rd to 6th, leaving Ilbrook to win the race into Sydney, followed by SEB and News Corps. As the front runners made it to dry land, De Juice and Amma 1 were fighting it out for 4th place and vital leg points. But within sight of the finish line, a massive broach left Amma 1 floundering, the crew fighting to right the boat.
Just like bodies everywhere, bodies in the water, spinnaker under the boat, spreaders in the water, mast in the water. It's just utter carnage.
Having been thrown around the boat, it was a mortified Grant Dalton who was stretchered off the boat with suspected broken ribs.
Hi, this is...
Yeah, I'm fine.
What I'd like to say is this is highly embarrassing.
It wasn't long before they were back on their way for leg 3 to Auckland, and for the first time in history as part of the Sydney-Hobart race. And it was the VO60s who led the entire fleet into the Tasman Sea, where their design would be pushed to the limit, racing against the huge Maxis. Not only did the other boats put them to the test, so did the weather. With the extreme conditions came a sailor's worst nightmare. As a huge tornado charged towards the fleet, all they could do was sit tight and hope it passed them by.
Huge water spouts coming this way. One boat's just got engulfed in it. And I think we're going to have to get all our sails down and sit and wait and hope it doesn't get us.
It just sort of charged towards us, and it was just spreading, getting bigger and bigger, and and we were, well, I was wondering what are we going to do.
And ocean racing doesn't come without the unexpected. SEB found themselves in trouble again, losing their rudder, taking on gallons of water.
We're heading north. Everybody else is heading south. So it's very painful. Not fun at all, and only one thing, thank God everybody's safe.
So more bad luck and retirement from the leg for SEB. As quick as the wind came, it went, leaving the fleet stuck in a wind hole. It was Assa Abloy who picked up the breeze, making a break from the pack.
We could make a detour around the Cape here after Tasman Island, and all the others went into less wind, and we arced around them, and now we are in the lead, which feels fantastic. We are 4 miles in front of the next boat, so keep your fingers crossed.
Whether it was keeping their fingers crossed or just great sailing, Assa Abloy were finally starting to perform, taking the trophy in Hobart's first VO60 and first boat overall, an amazing achievement. A 3-hour pit stop and the front runners are on their way to Auckland. But what's happened to the girls on Amma 2?
It's terrible. I'm gutted. But as we were coming in, the boys were going out, and for every metre we go this way, they're gaining 2 that way. So it was devastating, yeah.
And once on shore, close inspection revealed more rudder damage.
It's not pretty. We probably won't make it to Auckland.
And so a 3-hour pit stop turned into 1.5 days, leaving a gutted Lisa MacDonald once again at the back of the fleet. Having more success was Assa Abloy, although not such a good day for crew Magnus Olsen. An injured back confined him to the galley. Cooking obviously not his strong point.
Look, the water, gas is coming out everywhere, and I have no control over it.
Do you want me to pass you a match, Magnus?
No, that we're going to blow up. The boys are waiting for a good dinner, and I don't even have gas. It's a disaster.
But this didn't stop them, and glory couldn't be taken away from Assa Abloy. Tipped as a fast boat, they proved Ilbrook could be beaten. Amma 1 came second into Auckland, with Tycho sneaking into third ahead of Ilbrook and News Corps.
How many fingers? 2 for victory. 1 victory there, Sydney Hobart. Another victory there. Sydney Auckland. Yes!
So after 3 legs, the overall standings look like this.
Fantastic!
Oh, I can't talk, mate. Rudy! You're a beauty, mate. I'm going to be living off this for the rest of my days. Halfway around the world, 10 months since I've been home. Wow, what a feeling. What an amazing feeling. I never dreamed, not 1 second, that this could happen.
As the 8 teams competing in the 2001 Volvo Ocean Race prepared to leave Auckland, they were now halfway round the world. But with 6 legs to go, the race was still wide open. The tactics now began to change. The tropical conditions on leg 5, Rio to Miami, brought erratic winds and thunderstorms before the first of the sprint legs from Miami to Baltimore. But before this lay another 2,000 miles of Southern Ocean, icebergs and Cape Horn.
Let me think. Scenario. Evening watch. Last half hour. It's getting dark. Last light. Everything's getting really dusky. It's foggy. You've got about 400 yards visibility. And you're looking at your watch and it's 20 minutes to go. And you're thinking, oh, I'm just over this. It's blowing 35 knots. You're doing 25 knots of boat speed. And you're hanging on the wheel. You haven't lost it. You haven't wiped out, everything's under control, it's just another day in the office. The navigator sticks his head up the hatch and he'll say, iceberg on the bow. And you go, how far? 1 mile. 1 mile at 25 knots. You don't even want to think about it. It's like 3 minutes, you're on top of it. So all of a sudden the heart starts going and the whole thing's now elevated to a level that you just didn't need, because at the end of your watch, you're over it. The sweat's coming down the back of your neck, your feet are ice blocks, your hands are like ice blocks, your face is raw red from the salt spray, and all of a sudden you're being told, iceberg, on the bow, 1 mile. Okay, so when you're driving in those conditions, you have what we call a 10-degree envelope to steer in. You can go up 5 degrees or down 5 degrees, and either side of that is a wipeout. So you're quite limited about where you can steer. So you actually have very little time to react. You have to react instantaneously. Once you get the call, iceberg, you react. So we react, we come up 5 degrees and the navigator disappears, goes back to the radar, click, goes back up. Second iceberg on the port bow, and you're going, you're kidding. Is it the same iceberg? I don't know. Danny goes, the clock's ticking. Now you're within a minute of basically arriving in this scenario, and you're actually not sure whether these two blips on the iceberg, on the radar, is one berg or two bergs. Is there a gap between them? How big is the gap? And all of this, all you have is 400 or 500 yards visibility in front of you. It looks like somebody just frapped an iceberg right in your path, and it's all come out in assorted icebergs. And you have a guy stands up on your shoulder, and he calls you up, down, and you basically drive through this pack ice, picking out the big bits to miss. All the time in your mind, you kind of remember somewhere somebody in school kind of told you how much ice there was under the water, but you can't remember how much, and you don't want to. 80% of it's under the water. And you look at your watch, and it's 5 minutes before the end of your watch, and you're thinking, I'm over this. I just do not need this in my life. And all the time you're doing 25 knots, the hammer's down fully, you're just going. The boat is rocking down, and you just think, if we hit something bigger than 6 or 8 feet across, we will actually compromise the hull and go down. You know, and you go down below, and you take your gloves off, and your feet are frozen, and your hands are frozen, and you curl up in your bunk, and you just pretend you're not there. And I don't need to do that anymore. That's my last time. I'm over it.
And they were right to be nervous. SEB lost their mast, and the whole crew were in a life-threatening situation, forcing a second leg retirement.
No squall came in, just wildly knocked us over. The hit was about 47 knots, and the boat got a second hit and just spun out with the angle in the waves. There was no way of controlling it, and you can just feel the boat heeling over the wrong way, getting taken by a quarter wave on the stern. Or you hear the loud bang down below, and the noise and the crush of carbon fiber, and the mast falls down, and the water just flooding down the companionway as the boat heels over.
The feeling then I had was that, you know, what's going on deck? Is everybody there? All of a sudden, the least important thing in my life was Volvo Ocean Race. People hanging onto things under the water, gasping for air, and of course, being responsible for the whole package out there, it was just a terrifying, horrible feeling. Head count, everybody's there, and that inside sigh of relief is something I'll never forget. Never.
Meanwhile, the remaining fleet had survived the icebergs and the infamous Cape Horn.
Suddenly you have Cape Horn in front of you, and you know if you can get around it, then you're safe.
Woo-hoo! The Cape Horn cigar. All right.
Round Cape Horn and Amma and De Deuce opted to head east around the Falklands, whilst the rest of the fleet chose the more direct westerly route. Time would tell who was right. Once again, Ilbrook set the pace and hold on to their advantage, making it a fight for second. Just over a day from Rio, in fickle winds, De Deuce split from Tycho, Assa and Amma Sport won. An inspired move which gave the Norwegian team their first podium finish, leaving a fight for third. Next up was leg 5, Rio to Miami. The 4,500-mile leg took them up the coast of Brazil, through the doldrums and over the equator for the second time. With thousands of miles and varying conditions, the fleet stayed close with Tycho, Assa Abloy and Ilbrook, all up for top spot.
3,000 miles sailed, 1,000 miles to go. Might as well have started yesterday.
The fight went right down to the wire as the crews sailed relentlessly through the night. Asa and Ilbruck were separated by just 100 yards, and with exhausted crews, it was a battle of will to the finish. But Asa Abloy took first, establishing them as Ilbruck's main opposition. Miami to Baltimore was the first of the sprint legs. Inshore racing tactics were the key, and 3 days of racing meant constant and sleepless sailing. But the biggest challenge of the race was the Chesapeake Bay, where fickle tides, fluky winds and thousands of lobster pots to dodge were to add to the pressure. News Corps and AMA 1, who had poor results in the last leg, were vying for first place in light winds, while Asa Abloy made up ground to catch Ilbruck in a fight for third. But it was News Corps who proved to be the final winner, securing their first leg win. The overall standings in Baltimore were forcing the skippers to face the reality of what the final results could be. For De Juice, 2 more 7th positions in legs 5 and 6 were beginning to weigh down the crew. And it was time for Knut to admit a few home truths about his boat.
With our boat, it's not fast enough reaching. That's clear, because we know we have a pretty good sail program. We have same designers as News Corp. We have good sails, you know, that's no doubt about that. And we have good crew that works like hell, and the boat is not fast.
For News Corps, inconsistent performances up to Miami prompted Ross Field to step down as co-skipper, handing the reins to Jez Vanstone, who took them on to a much-needed win in Miami.
I think the relief is only just setting in, and I think the elation will follow.
Also underperforming with 2 retirements in earlier legs and a collision with Ilbruck after the start of leg 5, SEB was in a precarious position. A race committee protest on arrival in Miami could have cost them their whole campaign, as under race rules, a team must retire if they sustain serious boat damage. But this time the Swedes were lucky. The decision was in their favour and their 4th place confirmed.
Had we been disqualified or 5th place, which is in this case the same thing, this whole race would have been over totally for us. Now we have a 4th place, 2nd place and a 6th, and we can still go for maybe even a podium finish.
And at this stage, Asa Abloy's tactics were now clear, matching Ilbruck move for move.
Yeah, Asa Abloy have been sailing us all over the ocean today. Really been quite frustrating. They've been taking us both out, slowing themselves down, slowing us down. And really I can't see their tactics, with 4,000 miles to go. It's a bit early for that sort of carry on.
Asa Abloy's continued success with a 2nd leg win in Miami and beating Ilbruck into Baltimore was really putting the pressure on John Kostecki, and their lead was seeming less secure.
Here you see everybody, it's totally copied our sail program. They, you know, everybody more or less has the same type of sail inventory that we have. So yeah, they've caught up there, but we've always been a little bit slower downwind in light air. Leg 1 we showed that weakness, and so far we haven't really had a whole lot of that condition so far, but we did on this leg, and so it hurt us.
Not helped by a disastrous start out of Miami, Ilbruck crossed the line early, and in a rare moment, Kostecki vents his frustration.
Run her off! Run her off! Jesus Christ! Need the boat handle, guys.
Disaster for some meant brief glory for the girls, as Lisa MacDonald led the fleet ahead of her husband on Asa Abloy.
It's all worked out beautifully for us. There's my wife just in front of us holding us up.
But it was short-lived for the girls. They soon lost their lead and once again brought up the rear into Baltimore. Not the only one losing his cool on these 2 legs, you wouldn't want to be on AMA 1 when the position reports came in. Grant Dalton certainly not known for hiding his feelings.
Very ugly, incredibly ugly. Lost 9 miles. Mate, that was a bad one. Look at it. 9 miles. 17.
Wow.
Just got absolutely right. Someone will be punched.
What about the News Corp?
News Corp, I think they nailed us too. Everybody nailed us. I didn't even.
But his sheer determination paid dividends in leg 6 with a second place.
We've got to get on our game, and we'll do whatever's necessary to do that, and I'm brutally ruthless to make sure this campaign stays on the podium.
And what has happened to Tycho? A poor result in leg 6 leaves Kevin Shoebridge and crew in despair.
Oh, the guys are, they're bitterly disappointed really. Like, we always expect a lot more of ourselves, and we needed to have a good leg this league. We needed to get out and cement our position, and it's now Dolts has got second, News Corp's won, which were the 2 boats closest to us. So we're right back to where we were 2 leagues ago.
So with only 3 legs left to go, here are the overall standings. The Volvo Ocean race crews say farewell to the citizens of Baltimore as they make their way to the East Coast mecca of American sailing, Annapolis, for the start of the last ocean leg to La Rochelle. With only 3 legs left, success here is critical and the tension is building. No one can afford to make any mistakes.
I'm really nervous. I was nervous last leg, but this is even worse. I don't know what's happening with me.
This must be about leg 40 that I've done over the years, but I always get really nervous. In fact, I don't know, I'm almost more nervous as we go through the legs, closer to the end of the race, because I know there is no recovery now. The league, there's not enough legs left, so we have to have a good one.
I'm looking forward to it a lot. It's going to be a lot of wind in the beginning. That's good for us. We need a lot of wind. So it's cold and wet and everyone's complaining, and I love it. It's good.
It's awesome. I know, transatlantic's great. I'm excited. I've got butterflies. We've got a big weather forecast for the next 12 hours at least, but I'm excited.
This was the time to turn it around. Ilbrook, Assa Abloy, Amma 1, Tycho and News Corp all in contention for the podium positions. And the key to winning the transatlantic leg was picking up the Gulf Stream as quickly as possible. This conveyor belt flows at anything up to 10 kilometers per hour, resulting in record-breaking speeds for 3 boats.
Doing about 20 to 26 knots. And it's wet.
But they were unable to match the pace of Ilbrook.
Just got a message from the race headquarters. We broke the world monohull world record, and our present mileage is 473 miles in 24 hours at 1534 GMT today.
Thank you.
But it became a leg of 2 races when the girls lost their mast and had to head back to Halifax.
Just look up and it's the most depressing, unbelievable thing that can happen to you in a yacht race.
All the crew is very well, everyone's safe, no one is injured, so we're very lucky that it did happen in the conditions it did. However, very unlucky that it happened at all.
With the boat shipped from Halifax to the UK for repairs, it became a race against time to reach the start line in La Rochelle.
There's such a huge drive, in your tummy, in your stomach, in every muscle. You just want to be on that next start line. And I'm sure that when we sail down to La Rochelle and we get back on that start line, I don't think there'll be another team that is as hungry as we will be to compete.
I mean, we will do it. We're all just so determined to prove that we can do it. We're so sick of coming last. I hate it.
Whilst the girls waited to step their new mast, a second world speed record from Ilbrook secured them first place into La Rochelle.
everything worked out perfectly for us. We had the perfect weather and everything clicked.
What an incredible leg. Great, pressed up, fast sailing. Probably one of the fastest legs ever in the Volvo and obviously in the Whipwreck as well.
Asa Abloy keeping up the pressure on Ilbrook, finishing second. Whilst Tycho returned to form in third place.
We were in the hunt for second, but in the end we just didn't have enough horsepower really. Asa just sailed past us. Still pretty happy to be here in third, that's for sure, and especially with news back in sixth. Hopefully SEB will do a job on Dolts and then the whole thing's on again, which is good.
Whilst in port, competition of a different kind takes over. The chefs that have followed the teams around the world were given their chance to compete in a cookery contest. A relaxing and enjoyable diversion gave De Juice the chance to shine and a long-awaited taste of success. Amidst all the fun, work continued, but inevitably, with only 2 short legs left, thought started to turn to home.
I was trying to think the other day what sort of sports that you can think of that take this amount of energy for so long, and I can't think of any. Okay, I think the outside world sees, you know, we race for 8 days and then we might have 2 days at port, but even the port days are quite hard work. And for me, I haven't made any plans. I haven't had the time to, for one thing, but I think I'll go home, mend the fence that I heard's blown down at home, eat a lot of food, drink a lot of beer, and probably sleep in late a few days.
But wife Lisa and crew had no time for such thoughts. They were just relieved to finally reach La Rochelle.
Everybody is so happy to be here. We're on the wind the whole way here, and we were expecting 30 to 40 knots yesterday, but someone was finally looking on us and just making sure that we got here safely. It is so good to be here.
It really shows us the support that we've got from within the fleet and around the world everywhere we've been, and I have to say it's one of those little things that sort of re-energises us and, you know, helps us know that we're doing the right thing and we've got this far.
Leaving from the ancient port of La Rochelle for the penultimate leg to Gothenburg, and predictions and strategy dominated everyone's conversation.
Yeah, you've got to stay with the fleet, you know, cover the guys, and we're going to have to be chasing Ilbrook pretty hard. But we can, if you think you can't, you never will. So there's a sniff of a chance to get in there, and so long as there's a sniff, we'll be fighting for it.
Because, you know, there's almost a feeling that there's an order that's appearing at the moment, which is Ilbrook, Asa and Tycho coming in third, and they kind of break away. Second's still possible.
At least we're back in striking distance. No, we're sort of back to where we were in Miami, I guess.
We were going to be the second best boat in this regatta. And now we have to look at third place and say third place is a realistic finish for us.
35, let's get some pace on. Always go up, we have to.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Come on, Reinhardt! Reinhardt, hard, big man, go.
Needing to get a good start to make their impression on the fleet as soon as possible, Asa Abloy were quick out of the blocks and seemed to be in a perfect position. But it wasn't the case.
Got to get off now.
Okay, you ready here?
Yeah. Try going head to wind, and then somebody might have to go over if it doesn't come off. Back the jib to the left. Trim jib, trim jib, trim jib. I think we've still got it. Okay, let's try bearing away, and then we'll come up again. Still got it. Get a rope ready for him. We need to be going slow. We need a rope ready for Jason. I have one.
Failing to dislodge the buoy meant sending a crew member over the side in a desperate attempt to free themselves.
Run is clear, must be on the kill.
And finally, they were away. But meanwhile, the rest of the fleet charged ahead into the Bay of Biscay. In big seas, the racing was close, with AMA 1 setting the early pace. But amazingly, by day 2, it was Assa Abloy who led them through the English Channel, where head-to-head racing saw the front 6 separated by just 3 miles. But such close racing was not to the benefit of everyone.
Unfortunately, we are not fastest horse on the track right now.
And it was Assa Abloy who led into their home port for a tumultuous welcome. The first 4 boats arrived within 5 minutes of each other, making it the closest finish in the history of the race. It was hard to believe that after 32,000 miles of sailing, that the last 250 miles to Kiel would decide the top 3 places in the 2001 Volvo Ocean Race.
Sure, it would be nice to have had it wrapped up before we came to this last leg, but that's not the way it is, so it's a challenge.
We feel we've got it all to go for and nothing to lose, so we're actually going to enjoy this leg. Our guys are all fired up and ready to go.
There just seems to be a chasm of difference between finishing 3rd overall and 5th, so you know it does come down to the next 24 or 30 hours.
The start will be quite important to get away clean, and we do have a history of starting really well.
We've got 3 boats tied for 3rd place, and 24 hours we could be 3rd overall.
It's our leg, I hope. We'll go for it 100%. Nothing to lose, everything to win.
In a carnival atmosphere, Gothenburg turned out in their hundreds of thousands to bid farewell to the 8 crews who had given their all to win this, the world's premier ocean race.
We've got a job better than that, guys. Bring it down,
And by the time they reached Anholt Island, the fleet split, with SEB, Tycho and News Corps going to the west, the others choosing an easterly course. With only 4 miles covering first to last, which side would pay remained to be seen.
We're staying on the eastern side at the moment, aiming for the eastern side of the island, with Assa, the husband, A1, the boss, and the Pink Dragons. I think Ilbrook is somewhere up ahead in the middle, and anything can happen.
And it did. All the yachts on the west of the course were losing out. SEB, News Corps and Tycho saw their early gains disappear. The wind died completely, forcing them to drop anchor to stop going backwards. Meanwhile, Deduce led the fleet 6 miles ahead of Ilbrook, with Assa Abloy in 3rd. Amersports 1 and 2, 17 miles behind the leaders, were neck and neck in 4th. But it was Deduce who gambled everything with a 9-man crew and saved the best till last. With the finish line now in sight, thousands of spectators willed them towards their first leg victory.
Good to win the leg. Good to win the leg. Very good. The best finish you can possibly, theoretically and practically have.
No, I had some dreams about winning it. I did. But the first time in the race, we were the fastest one.
Can't get excited yet because the boys are just behind us, so we're like, the whole way here we've all got like sore necks from turning around.
The girls on Ama Sports 2 also saved their best for last, not only coming fourth, but in doing so, beating their teammates on Ama Sports 1.
I just so desperately wanted to show them that we could, and now that we have, it's just, I don't know, it's a really weird feeling. It's like complete.
Finishing just in front of the girls was Asa Abloy, securing second place overall.
I think we did a good job. It would always be nice to win. That was obviously our initial goal. We didn't quite make it, but we're happy with second.
Second's good. It's a taste of what it takes. See you next time.
Humbled by the girls, it was fifth place for Grant Dalton.
What a champ.
Fantastic.
Yeah, well done. Couldn't catch it. I hope so.
But it was still enough to put him on the podium, third place overall.
Third's not first, but it's pretty good. I mean, we sort of reflected on it over the last few miles when we were coming in, when we realised we were going to be in third place, and I think from where we've come from, you know, this time a year ago we didn't even have a boat, and you know, trials and tribulations, I think it's just fun.
With the podium positions filled, this left SEB, Tyco and News Corps to ponder what might have been.
It's going to take a while to get over this. There's so many people fighting so hard with such a good project, and somehow it just did not get go our way with all the problems that maybe affected us somehow. We didn't know. You know, we will find out later on. But it's definitely way below our own expectations and ambitions.
24 hours or 36 hours, whatever it is. We anchored for 4 hours last night off the coast of Denmark, so we knew we were in trouble. But no, it's just been a long, hard old day.
It's probably the most depressing 36 hours of our yacht racing careers, but as I said, it's been 9 months of fun and excitement and sheer joy to sail with these guys, and you know, 36 hours out of that, maybe it's the price to pay. If you dare to dream, you've got to have a few nightmares to go along with that.
But let's not forget second into Kiel, first overall and winner of the Volvo Ocean Race Trophy, Germany's own Elbrook Challenge.
I have never seen anything like this. I will never see anything like this again. This is unbelievable. Look, I mean, this is incredible. Just incredible.
This is incredible. This is unbelievable. A lot better than anybody expected. This is sailing's premier sport right here. Unbelievable. I mean, I have an Olympic medal, but for sure, this is the best. Top.
What an amazing race. What an amazing battle. What an amazing finish. You just can't say it better than that. This has just been a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I wish I had my whole lifetime just to soak it all in.
The final results then. First, Elbrook Challenge. Second, Asa Abloy. And third, Ama Sports 1. That's it for now, but the Volvo Ocean Race will be back in 2005.
Some of the crew was sick, including myself, and it definitely wasn't the way to start the leg.
I wouldn't have thought he was laying in my arms.
Run forward bulkheads are both full water. It's just utter carnage.
50 knots in the Southern Ocean is about the max I'd ever like to see. It's really surreally awesome.
Iceberg. I've never seen anything like it, and I fully intend to never see anything like it again for the rest of my life.
It's the most depressing, unbelievable thing that can happen to you in a yacht race.
Just got a message from the race headquarters. We broke the monohull world record for President